Hello folks, this is Steve AB4L. Now you know nothing in this episode is a promotion, nor is it a recommendation. And I'm not, the tab I got open is /.org, News for Nerds. I'm a nerd. So I was looking at the headlines for today. This stuff is so interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting. It's so interesting. Oh, more about open source AI. Yeah. Microsoft donates. Oh, wait a minute. I'm an Aggie. Here's one. There's something wrong with this browser? Don't you love Microsoft and don't you love Google? The two of them work together so good. U.S. says genetically modified wheat safe to grow pending trials. Now remember, I'm an Aggie. I've pollinated more ears of corn than you will ever eat in your life. I have harvested more oranges than your whole family will ever eat in their lifetime. In 1 week. A type of genetically modified wheat developed by Argentina's Bioceres, Bioceres. Bioceres. Now, I can look at that word. Bio means biology, and Ceres is the Latin or Greek root for cereals, grains. So I haven't looked. So what do you think they specialize in? Well, we already had a hint. You see how it moved and I didn't do it? They think they're such geniuses. You know that? You're just an idiot sitting there playing with your mouse. You're an idiot. They know better. Bioceres Crop Solutions Investor Relations. Bioceres parent company was founded in 2001 by a leading group of growers in Argentina. Wait a minute, hang on a second. Now, you know my mind strays. Is Argentina bankrupt? As of July 15, 2024, Argentina is formally exited from its ninth sovereign debt default and restructured over $100 billion in debt. In May of 2023, Argentina was at risk of bankruptcy. Okay. Nothing's changed since the Perón's day, right? I'm associating the correct dictator with the correct company, aren't I? Country, yeah. I wanted to do that so you get a feeling for it. Bioceres' parent company was founded in 2001 by a leading group of growers, which is, translate that to humongous large landowners in Argentina to address the demand for higher crop yields and productivity. Well, that's what the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, Ag Research. See, it's been so long I've forgotten how to say it properly. Wait a minute. You know, we got the search engine. It's a genius. USDA, United States Department of Agriculture, which does a lot of things. USDA Agricultural Research Service, government agency. Yeah, those are the people I know. Way back. See how great it is to have a genius search engine with AI behind it? Okay. Now this is kind of interesting. Oh, wait a minute. Remember, the search engine is trying to tell me something. It's got two things about investor relations. Now, what did I search for? Argentina's bioseries. And the first two results are some propaganda to do with investor relations. And the third result is their actual website first, as opposed. Oh, the search engine is so brilliant. Somebody paid for that. We are an advanced life services sciences platform dedicated to the preservation of the plant and improvement of human life. Latin America's flagship, first time I'm reading it, seeing it, flagship group art. So it isn't just Argentina. And you see this thing that's swirling there? That's the double helix DNA. Latin America's flagship group in the life sciences. We promote, I'm not promoting anything, we promote and develop disruptive technologies that are strongly aligned with sustainability and human well-being goals across 4 verticals. Don't you love the vocabulary? Translated straight from Argentina Espanol. And carbon neutrality, biomaterials, functional foods, animal feeds, or you can make cotton from it, and health and wellness. Now, you see, the wind is out there. We invest in science and technology to design innovative solutions for some of the greatest. Let me just say this. Have they said anything substantive yet? It's their philosophy. Why would they go down this stuff first? Because the moment you mention genetic modification and biotechnology, if you go back here and you read the comments, it's all hostile. They're going to poison us. Don't you like the way it's like Cinerama? Unlocking the future. Now, wait a minute. The names, oh, this is interesting. Heritas, SF5, Rhizobacter. What do you think Rhizobacter means? What do you think Rhizobacter means? Rhizome bacteria. Do you know that? That's nitrogen fixation. I'm guessing. Never seen the word before. Rhizobacter. Argentina. It's a website. .com.ar. Argentina. Rhizobacter home. Oh, look at the style. Look at the style. Do you think product lines? Here we go. Good. Oh, I like this one better because they're actually telling me what they're doing, and I only scrolled half a screen. Product lines. Hang on. Now remember, the first time I saw that word was on that other website, and I guessed at what it meant. Would you have guessed it? inoculants and bioinducers, cutting-edge inoculant technologies. This is inoculants for plants or animals that guarantee maximum efficiency in biological nitrogen fixation process. Oh! Essential for high quality and productivity of legume crops. What's an example of legume crop? I can tell you one that I had for breakfast. Well, you know, I'm strange. Lentils. You know what lentils are. Oh, wait a minute, plant protection. Biological seed treatments for wheat, barley, and soybean. Do you think wheat, barley, and soybeans are big crops in South America? With prolonged residual power that provides greater diseases control with lower environmental impact. Many years ago, I used to go down and visit a large 50,000 acre farm in Carteret County, and the daily manager who ran, the actual operations manager, used to split his time between there and in the winter going to Brazil, and their main crop in both places was soybeans. Carteret County in North Carolina. Now, let my mind stray. I've been to that fort. Now, it's outlining where it is, right? And it's right there. And I'm going to go in and I'm going to ask you if you can spot a 50,000 acre farm in Carteret County if you were flying over in a drone at 50,000 feet. Do you think you could spot it? I used to go down there. I worked at NC State in certain research projects, and we were cooperative with them. Mainly soybeans, some maize, a little bit of animals, beef. I get around. I've gotten around. So all I did was pick out one of the names here that they're doing. Okay? Now, let's talk. They still haven't really told me anything on the homepage of this site, and the search engine didn't want me to see this first. They wanted me to see the investor relations. This new search technology with AI pumping it is so incredible, I can't stand it. Have you ever seen the nodules on soybean plants, on the roots? Why would you want that? Well, that way you don't have to apply that much nitrogen fertilizer, because you let the bacteria that invade the roots and make a nodule out of it swell up like they get into your lymph gland, but they're fixating nitrogen from the air in combination with water, and it's the nitrogen that the plant needs in order to grow itself. It needs other things too, but so let's continue. Bioseries must still complete additional steps, including field trials, that will take years before it can commercialize HB4 wheat. The wheat is modified to tolerate drought. Industry group U.S. Wheat Associates said. Still, USDA's finding moves genetically modified wheat closer to production in the U.S. in a potential win for farmers grappling with drought. and more severe weather, despite high temperatures but not enough rain, despite concerns among some consumers. Wherever wheat is grown in the world, drought takes its toll on yields and quality, and also plant pathogens destroy the wheat too. Yeah, fungi and bacteria. Take its toll on yields and quality, so an innovation like HB4, that's the particular strain, holds a lot of interest for growers like me, says Michael Peters, an Oklahoma wheat farmer and past chairman of the U.S. Wheat Associates. Genetic modification involves altering a plant's makeup by transferring DNA from one organism to another and is common in crops like corn used in livestock feed. Some consumer groups oppose genetic modification of wheat over concerns about human health, because it's used in pasta. USDA's decision on HB4 wheat is further than the agency has ever gone with genetically modified wheat. And I think the key there is, like 99% of the corn produced in the United States literally goes as animal feed. So there's an intermediary hog or cattle before it's converted to flesh and fat and whatever before you consume it. So they are, in a sense, a filter. The animal production is a filter. But what if they were using this wheat and grinding it up? You know, it's like in the past I've told you about the grist mills along the Deep River. Like I've taken you down to the museum project in Cedar Falls where they had built that textile factory there. The building that was there originally that actually put in the sluiceway, raceway, using the Deep River and building a little dam up there, actually was a grist mill. So that people who grew corn and wheat and other grains dried could get them ground or cracked. Cracked so that the chickens can eat it, ground to create flour for baking. And if you go and look at the signs I've shown you about the museum project, like this way 2 miles down the road to Franklinville, they made various kinds of flour. But the first grist mill was over there in Cedar Falls, and they used that water flow and paddle wheel converted it to a textile factory. More money. More money. And over here, the grist mill was converted into a textile factory. Yeah, there was a grist mill in Franklinville, too. Now, let's look up HB4 wheat. I'll bet you the brilliance AI search engine at Google knows what it is. Holy shit. Oh, excuse me. HB4 wheat has got a Wikipedia article. That's #1. Wait a minute. ISAAA.org, the GM approval database, is one of ISAA's unique features that compiles all the available information about biotech GM crops. Oh, that looks interesting. Wait a minute. Whoa, hang on just a second. This is what everybody's worried about, right? Okay, so whoever they are, event index, trade name HB4 wheat, Triticum aestivum, that's the name of regular polyploid wheat. Developer, Bioseries SA. SA is their incorporation. It's the Latin way of doing it. It's like saying INC. Method of trait introduction, microparticle bomb. Oh, is that how they're doing it? Holy shit. Talk about primitive. Microparticle bombardment of plant cell or tissue. Hang on just a second. I haven't done this before. Microparticle bombardment of maize protoplasm NCSU Department of Crop Science. Is it crop science or agriculture? Soil science, crop science. Now, it goes back a little bit. Give me just a second. Let's look at this one. 2014. Nineteen 1989, genetic transformation of maize cells by particle bombardment. Intact maize cells were bombarded with microprojectiles bearing plasmid. A plasmid is a circular of DNA that is not a part of the chromophore of certain bacteria. Drug resistance often gets accumulated in various bacterial species by accumulation of plasmids that contain the antibiotic resistance genes, which are not a part of the main bacterial chromophore. We have chromosomes, bacteria have chromophores. Intact maize cells were bombarded with microprojectiles bearing plasmid DNA coding for selectable. That means that once they think they got a plant where it got incorporated into the plant's DNA and they grow it up, it will be a visible trait that they can select for standing in an agricultural field or a laboratory test. Neomycin phosphortransferase, I won't explain it. Yeah, there's two marker genes that are biochemical that you can see in a laboratory in a dish. Kanamycin-resistant calli were selected from bombarded cells, and those callis carried copies of these genes, which means they got in there by way of the DNA that was fired into them by microparticles that you couldn't see if you had it on your fingertips. And was determined by Southern plot analysis, right? Also, full text available, complete article. So what year is that? Now remember, microparticle bombardment, maize, 1989. North Carolina State University. Now see, they don't have the microparticle. The reason is that I'm looking, the person who used to do that at NC State, I'm trying to remember his name. Hang on. somebody named Holland wins International Maize Genetics. Jim Holland, USDA, the plant breeder and geneticist based at the Department of Crop and Soil Sciences, has spent past 2 decades studying genetic variation in corn or maize to improve its agriculture. Does it say? Does it say? There's the corn. He's trying to improve ear rot fusarium. It's good. That would be good in South America and Mexico. Does it say anything about how he did it? I'm just looking. And this guy here is a visiting scientist from South America. Do you see the corn in the background? Do you think it's near harvest? Do you know about that? So everybody's in this game, and I strayed off on this because I knew somebody at NC State in that department that was using that technique to bombard maize cells, to modify them genetically. When? In the 1990s. So what does that say about this? It says microparticle bombardment of plant cells and tissues. This brings me up to date. It's considered to be a successful approach. And what is the genetic modified trait they're looking for? Drought stress tolerance. And what's the commercial trait that they're looking for? Abiotic stress tolerance. Abiotic means not because of some other life form. And that's what weather would be. And then, I don't know what this all is, but we just found that by accident. You learn all these things that exist out there that you never would have imagined that somebody's funding. Let's get on with the Wikipedia article because these articles are written by geniuses. HB4 wheat is a type of wheat that has been genetically modified by introducing, now here's the dangerous foreign alien DNA, by introducing sunflower genes. By introducing sunflower genes. What's one of the characteristics of sunflower plants when you grow them for seeds? Are sunflower plants drought tolerant? Yes, sunflowers are considered to be drought-resistant plants. They have strong root systems that can reach deep into the soil, allowing them to make use of even poor soil. However, they will be healthier and produce larger flowers if they have moist soil, especially during the 3 weeks before and after they bloom. And the next one says here, as a spring crop with a short growing season, why would you want to grow something like sunflowers as a short season crop early on, like starting just that? Because then you can rotate it with like soybeans in the rest of the summer season. Yeah! So instead of growing winter wheat, rotate it to cotton, you grow soybeans, harvest it, and plant your cotton. Depends on which will bring more money in the market this year. As a spring crop with short growing season, see, I remember riding the bus, Egged bus from Haifa, that's a port city in northern Israel on the Mediterranean, around past Accra, going up north to where I was. I can remember all those sunflower fields, all those beautiful big, and people sitting on the bus with their sunflower seeds. We get them all already deshelled. They're sitting there. Israeli, you can tell an Israeli and an Arab because they just put it in there. They put a couple of them in there and they go, and they spit out the shells and eat they don't even have to look. You can't do that. It's a lifetime of practice starting when you're 2 and 3 years old. As a spring crop with a short growing season, sunflowers are renowned for their resistance to drought. They can even reach their optimum yield with only 75% of their water needs covered. Now, why am I emphasizing this? When they were looking to improve wheat for drought resistance, these people decided, let's try a plant that is known to naturally be able to do it. And can we figure out the genes for it? Now the question is, you notice how they did it. They took the DNA from the sunflowers, they processed it into a powder, and they made it adhere to these particles you need a microscope to see, and then they electrostatically fired them at wheat, and then they grow that stuff out to see if any of it looks strange or different that they could see might have the genes from the sunflower actually incorporated, actually functional. See, I'm giving you a short version of what goes on. Do you follow that? So what they say here, now we're talking about Argentina, right? In 2004, a team led by Dr. Raquel Chan, director of the Instituto de Agrobiología in Litoral de Universidad Nacional del Litoral. I'm assuming that's somewhere in Argentina, and litoral means along the coast. And members of CONICET jointly patented a genetic construct that years later would give rise to this. Oh, that was the same indication as in that other database, wheat known as HB4 wheat, genetically modified wheat, a variety of wheat produced through genetic engineering, also called transgenic, without stopping the accumulation of biomass, improving. So in other words, even though they shot it up with all these foreign genes, they were able to select something that came out of that looked normal. Not all of them do. Have I ever seen this stuff? Oh, you mean I have? Yeah, a long time ago. But then I got into computers. Let's see who she is. Do you think she's Chinese? She's from the Santa Fe province of Argentina. She centered on photosynthesis. She invented multiple drought-resistant seeds. She did her, oh my goodness. Is it Chan or is it Han? Is it Chan or is it Han? Chan did her undergraduate study at Hebrew University of Jerusalem. And then she did her PhD at the University of Rosario. Hang on. She went to the Hebrew University? Hang on. Hang on. There she is. There she is. Argentinian biochemist. Excuse me, I like to stray around. You learn a lot. She's a tenured professor HB4 gene, which is why they call it HB4 wheat. Now we're tracking, right? HB4 gene. And it says HB4 wheat. It keeps talking about the wheat, discovering the gene behind. But I'm looking to see if there's some kind of DNA sequencing. Wait a minute, hang on. I'm just going to say DNA sequence. Let's see if they've... There are multiple matches for HB4 gene DNA sequences, including a linker histone gene in Xenopus oocytes and a soybean transcription factor in wheat. Did you understand what it just said there? I said soybean. I was talking about soybeans before, right? You got to understand, I'm like Biden. And a sunflower transcription factor. What's a transcription factor? You got genes that are encoded in the double-stranded helix DNA. You need somebody to come along, ribosomes and so on, and read along that and translate it into, transcription factor, make an RNA copy to pass it to the ribosomes that then will produce whatever protein it is that it codes for. And that's some kind of regulatory protein that does something in the plant that all right, the HB4 gene is a linker histone gene. But you see, there's something in, you know what a Xenopus is, right? It's a little like salamander. And Xenopus oocytes are convenient. See the frog there? This is a traditional, convenient laboratory research animal. Did you understand that? African clawed frog. Well, it has something that when they take what, it's got something in common with soybeans. Oh, I keep saying soybeans, sunflowers. This is the AI overview. This is the genius computer helping us. But we're interested in the sunflower factor, the HAB. Oh, now we know the full designation of the gene. Hang on a second. The HB4 gene is the sunflower transcription factor that belongs to the homeodomain leucine zipper family. Could you say that word on site? Researchers have cloned the HAHB4 coding sequence for wheat transformation using PCR. You've heard of PCR. When the COVID started, they wanted to see if you were infected. So they stuck something up here, and then they went in here, and then they do a little chemical reaction, polymerase chain reaction, the first time and the only time I ever did polymerase chain reaction was in early 1992 in Mexico. The construct, this HB4, was obtained by cloning in a plasmid which contained the promoter and an untranslated RUA. The HB4 gene has also been introduced into wheat, where it encodes the protein HB4A, Helianthus annuus homeobox 4. That's a transcription promoter recognition site. Oh, there you go. HB4 is a transcription factor that binds to specific sequences of wheat DNA and regulates the expression of certain genes. In 2019, in Argentina developed a genetically modified wheat crop called Mila, which carries that gene and is an improved drought resistance and shown increased blah, 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 blah. Now, what you do next is, now that we actually have this, we can go like that. Field-grown transgenic wheat expressing the sunflower. See how quickly there are other people who know about this. And then we're going to say DNA sequence. And then they say that it came from Helianthus, which is sunflower genus, and it's a nuclear gene, and this is the protein that it produces. This is a symbolic representation of what it looks like. And it also discusses similarities that have been found in other DNA fragment sequences, and what do you think this is? I just killed a spider. What do you think this is? This is the actual DNA sequence, 10 bases at a time. Or is this the protein sequence? What do you think? No, if it was a DNA sequence, it would only use 4 letters. If it's a protein sequence, it's MSLQQVPT. How many it's a protein sequence. How many different amino acids are there? How do you represent them? You represent them this way. This is the protein that gets produced when you translate that DNA transcription promoter site to our actual product, and then in the cell, it curls itself up. Where's the picture of it? Where did I miss it? And this is the representation of what it is. And if you were a protein biochemist, you would understand what this helix means, what this larger helix, why they make up one thicker than the other. What these are pretty random strands, and this is the yellow one there is probably an activity zone. And this one down here is probably also an activity zone. Oh, and if you do that, you can take a little closer. This is the first time I'm looking at it. This is the first time I've ever looked at this database, which didn't exist when I was a younger person and left biology and decided that computers were where the money was. I'm just having fun, folks. I'm just having fun. AlphaFold produces a per residue confidence score of, and what it is this is the computer generated projection of what the actual protein would look like, and then they rate how much confidence they have on their symbolic reproduction. However it works, the miracle of evolution. So are you afraid of this stuff? What do you think? Are you afraid of it? Do you think we should be worried like these people are? What do I mean? But tribble infestations in grain storage are still an issue. Testing for the weak. Who needs to continue tests? Just unrelease it in the population and track the results. And then you get all these sarcastic, that's a sarcastic comment. Got a lot of replies. Another great /dot title, safe to grow pending tests. In other words, it may be safe to grow, but they need to do some more research. Glucosylate transtolerant wheat. The drought resistance is purely PR. The amount of water and then there's comments on that. So it's all negative. If you had seen some of the places I've seen, if they can grow the wheat, whereas they can't now, it may actually improve their physical health. Because there are places in the world, you want me to give you an example? I did another video. All right, I just picked out a country in West Africa called Senegal. Desertification is a major issue in Senegal, affecting 34% of the country's arable land. Arable means you can grow crops. It's not a mountain, it's not a steep hillside covered with volcanic rock. Affecting 34% of the country's arable land and causing the loss of over 30% of its forest. It's a leading cause of low agricultural production, poor food security, fewer job opportunities, and increased migration from rural areas. Now, why did I pick on Senegal? Okay? Why did I pick on Senegal? How did I know there was a desert in Senegal? I've never been there. Now I'm showing you how my mind ties things together. Watch. Now, if you've already seen the other video I made, I don't know, last night or the night before, you'll understand this. We're talking about this kind of change in the wheat could be used in Senegal because they're losing arable land, and this might be what this is intended not only for the United States and Brazilian and Argentina wheat production, but for a place like Senegal. Watch. How do I know? How did I know that Senegal has a desertification problem? By looking at the map here? Oh, I knew about it more directly. Let me show you what I mean. Now you notice there aren't a lot of roads. So we're going to the capital city, Dakar, right? And we want to look at it. And it's highly populated, very densely populated. Can we pick somewhere in the city? Can we pick it? Let's see if I have the same luck as I had before. Is this a... This is a pretty well-to-do neighborhood. Do you notice anything? Do you notice anything here? Now this is a well-to-do neighborhood. Oh, I don't like it when they do that. I mean to go back to where I was and they just decide they're going to go all the way back into the ocean. Oh, wait a minute. Here's a place called Medina. What does Medina mean? Medina would be the marketplace. Let me take a shot at it. They get Rue 20, Rue 18. Oh, what do you think is happening here? Do you think it rained? Now, do you think it rained? Now take a look at the dirt here, and look at the dirt here, and look at the dirt there, and look at the dirt here. This is in the city. This is in the old part of the city. Do you see all the dirt there? Do you notice the concrete sidewalks? And it's paved roads, but do you see the dirt? Where'd the dirt come from? Where'd all that dirt come from? Why is there so much dirt in some neighborhoods especially? Why is there so much dirt in the streets? Some streets they can clean up, but what's all this dirt? Why is it piled up here and the streets are clean? Look at the dirt there. Why is there so much dirt everywhere in the city? Right there. What's this thing doing to me? You see all that dirt? Do you think it's from construction? Or do you think it got swept up and piled there waiting for the truck to take it away? And we're talking about the capital city of Senegal. It's right on the ocean. Where'd that dirt come from? It came from the interior. How did it get there? On the winds, on the seasonal winds. What holds the dirt down? Did you watch my Debbie video? Did you notice the color of the deep river? Did you notice how brown it is? At least in most places in the Piedmont of North Carolina, we actually have grass and things like that, so that when it rains like hell, hills don't get washed away. But in Senegal, it's so dry and getting drier that when the seasonal Hamseen wind comes, it picks up the topsoil and it takes it and drops it somewhere else, like in the capital city, because it hits the buildings and falls down. And this wheat gene might be part of trying to stabilize the interior and provide income, agricultural income, to people who have zero education. Kind of like when it was colonial times in the United States. Remember I talked about the grist mills? I traveled across North Africa. Do I know what I'm talking about? I can remember in Algeria that twice I saw a woman pulling a plow. Twice I saw a woman pulling a plow. Do you understand that? No, they didn't even have a donkey. And yes, there was a man, and it's one of these old-fashioned ones. Twice I saw a woman pulling a plow in the field for them to till it in the late spring. I could be describing Senegal, I'll bet. I want to give you an idea of why Argentina has been involved in something like trying to develop that kind of wheat by a shortcut method that evolution didn't do. Got it? And who is it meant to really benefit? You and me? You see how those assholes on there are making comments? They're sitting there in front of their computers. You see it? I'm not putting these people down. A lot of the world's population lives like this. And why are these people in Dakar and not in the hinterland? Because there's no way of making a living in the hinterland. Instead, they want to get on boats and sneak into Europe, because there's nothing here either. There's no way to grow wheat, no way to grow the sunflowers, no way to blah, blah, blah. So I'm just taking you on a little imaginary journey, the way my wandering mind brainstorms it, saying see you in 73.